name is Richard.
Yeah, Richard.
And in the public arena, I'm relatively unknown. However, Spirit has decided that this is the year where all that's going to change. And just a bit about me, this is my year. 2017 is the year of the rooster. I turned 60 this year. And what you see is real. So I plan to stay like this when I'm 70, 80, and even 90. But it's not an idle boast or idle intention. I have the secrets to that, which over time I can share with you. Now this presentation, let me go back a bit about myself. My partner Sian and I, we live in Perth, and we've been on an extraordinary spiritual journey over the last 5 years. I had a 22-year corporate experience, grew up in Malaysia, finished growing up in Melbourne, lived in Melbourne for 35 years, and I'm now living in Perth. Next year, I'm going to end up moving to Maui, Hawaii. This is part of the call. And in Maui, Hawaii, there's going to be the Great Light Temple from the Lost Continent of Lemuria turn up. And so this is part of all the future. And the future is what we all need to be present to, because it's going to affect every single life on the planet. So there's 3 categories of people on the planet. Those who are completely asleep and those who are going to stay asleep. And their future does not look good. Those that are starting to wake up and wondering, oh, there's more to life than what we think and experience. Then there are those who are on their journey, who are spiritually awake and seeking and looking to play a role in the future ascension of this beautiful planet, Mother God. So Sian and I go around the world activating sacred sites and firing up light grids. We've already done 2. And I won't talk too much about that here, but in my next talk at the Close Encounters Conference, you'll hear all about that. Now, this talks about the cosmic dance of love. It's the first presentation, and I'll be explaining and unpacking what that is all about. But firstly, let's look at 2017. We are at the beginning of the number 1 year. Numerologically, if you add up 2017, it adds up to 1. So what's 2017 about? This is what 2017 is about. It's about awakening in consciousness. And here's the definition of what 2017 is about. It's about awakening in consciousness as the transformation and transition of the world brings revelations of truth. So we're seeing a lot of things come out with higher frequencies, which is hitting the planet, resulting in compassion and alchemy, where separation moves to oneness. And here's a powerful outlook and definition of 2017. I should also mention that I have enormous amount of information on these slides, and to save you from scribbling and taking notes, because you won't be able to follow it, if you see my beautiful partner Sian there, who'll be on the table, she'll take your email address, and I'll be delighted to email you this PowerPoint, plus some of my videos that most people have not seen. Now this definition of 2017 came from a group unconscious mapping exercise in our home on the 29th of December. I've done this for every single year since 2012. And what's come through has been profound, being able to tap into innate wisdom. So, how does 2017 work? What should you do with that definition? Okay, so here are 5 points of what to do. Number 1, establish supportive foundations for the future. So what is your current foundation? It's serving you now because you're surviving, but is it going to be good for you moving forward in the future when the world around you changes dramatically? So you need to look at your beliefs and values. What are the beliefs and values that serve you? what are those that will not in the future? Identify your attachments. So, a belief and value that may not serve you in the future is that you're going to live a long time in the house that you're in and retire happily ever after. That's not looking good. So if you're locked into that, you do have a problem. Number 2, navigate your way out of the fog of this world. Everything around you is an illusion. The illusion is created by the matrix. And everyone, just about, lives their lives in a fish bowl. So point 2 is to navigate your way out of this fog. Point 3, in terms of what to do, is to position yourself to see your mission and purpose with clarity. Because if the truth be known, and you get asked the question, are you fully flowing in the will of the divine and functioning in your highest purpose in making the biggest difference on this planet that you could possibly do? Most people will say, duh or no. Point 4, create a vocational vehicle to enable you to transition changes quickly. What this means is your job probably isn't going to serve you in achieving point 3. Because your job just keeps you above water. The cost of living is going up and people are finding it more difficult to make ends meet. And if you're just earning an income, you have little capacity to impact the world. It's not about being negative, but it's just about saying it as it is. Point 5, follow love and light in your life to the treasure awaiting you. So when you dwell more and more in love and light, and this involves you working on yourself and your consciousness, the treasure awaiting you is beyond anything you could dream of. So let's look at what I'm talking about in the cosmic dance of love. What is it all about? I have a website I'm working on. I apologize, it's not ready yet because it's a big work in progress. I'm hoping to launch it end of the month. And when you give me your email address for these slides, I will definitely keep you informed of all that. Now, the cosmic dance of love is a 5th dimension perspective. It is looking at this world from above. And when you do that, you see things completely differently. It's about helping people transition the increasing turbulent times to come. We have seen the last trimester, 4 months of 2016, changes in the world that have been unprecedented. There's more turbulent times to come. And you only have 2 choices. To move into love and light and go, this is great, and write the changes, or it moves you into fear. They're the 2 positions. What else is the cosmic dance of love? It is an empowering perspective on life in the polarity and duality of this world. So when you are in duality and polarity, you have the opposites and the polarity of degrees. For example, opposite, love, hate, rich, poor, big, small, hot, cold. And then the polarity is how hot, how cold, how much love, how much hate. And you have the swing of all that. It also helps you transcend your decaying world. Now, transcend is a very important concept. In 2014, Johnny Depp starred in a movie called Transcendence. And if you haven't watched that, I recommend you do. In that movie, he starred as a scientist that got killed. And then they uploaded his mind and consciousness into a computer. And he used that to take over the internet. And he was working to actually change the world in a profound way. The authorities didn't know what he was doing. They bombed his facility that he built. And as the facility was crumbling, he said to his wife, this very profound saying, we will not fight them. We will not resist them. We will transcend them. So in your world, when you have authorities, when you have forces coming against you, do not fight them, because you then lower yourself down to their level. Do not resist them, because then you feed your fear and your angst. Simply transcend them. Now that's easier said than done. But my program, the Cosmic Dance of Love, shows you how you do that. And lastly, the Cosmic Dance of Love is based on your soul evolution and journey. That is what life is about. Now, I talked about love matter. What is love matter? And this is really profound for you to get and understand. Love matter is the essence of the divine. All of you are part of the divine. It's on its journey of expression. So everything that happens to you in life, good, bad, up, down, light, dark, is an expression. And it's connecting to all that is. And it does this through matter. And matter is the transmission of resonance in matter as the evolution of the universe shifts through transcending states and dimensions. Because everything moves, everything shifts from one thing to another. And you, whether you like it or not, are part of the fabric and cosmos of the universe in its evolution. This is why you matter. And here are the characteristics of love matter. This is what it looks like in your life. It's a vibration towards oneness. So when you have groups coming together, you have families coming together, you have people connecting in love, that's oneness. It's all about unconditional love. There's a movement away from separation to oneness. It's an expression of the divine. And it's being with what is in the moment. The only reality is now, the moment you are in now. The past is gone, the future is not here or written. The only reality is now. So when you're able to tap into being with what is in the now, not doing, you are expressing love matter. So let's look at love matter in everyday life, how it affects you in your world. What is it? It's expressions of love. And you see this all the time with people. And the greater the impact, the greater the expression of love. And this is seen in the highest level when a baby turns up. When a baby turns up for the first time, for parents that experience their first birth, it is the greatest expression of love. The purity, the energy, the intensity, the depth, the breadth, everything is forgotten. You forget about your mortgage, you forget about your pain, you forget about who did this to you. You are just in this incredible space of love with this beautiful little babe that you contributed to creating in your arms. I'm a dad. I still remember the day my son was born. He's 21 going on 22 now. But it's something that cannot be forgotten. So powerful. So expressions of love is love matter in every day. Then there's forgiveness. When someone wrongs you, when someone abuses you, when someone treats you badly, and you're able to express forgiveness, it is incredibly powerful. Then there's family meals and celebrations. When you look around the world, so many cultures have food with family as a powerful ritual. The Chinese, the Italians, the Latinos, and so on. In Australia, it's the Barbie. And so, family meals and celebrations are really powerful. In India, when they have celebrations, the entire village turns up. It's big. Then teamwork. When a group of people work together for a cause that's bigger than themselves, That is a powerful expression of love matter. Children growing up, so much love, so much joy, so much laughter. And then there's also the challenges and frustration that come with it. Connection with nature. This morning, I got up at 5:30. Speakers are staying in Ballina, in beautiful hotel, Ramada. It's right by the water. So I walked down the water and I sat, got into my Akashic Records, which is the Book of Life, which I do on a regular basis, did a download, which I'll share with you during this presentation, and I watched sunrise. That was love matter. It was more than beautiful. And as I watched the sun coming up, I dialed in to the light codes from the sun. My conscious mind hasn't got a clue, but my being knows what turned up. And then it comes out during the day in different things that happen. Last point there, spiritual gatherings, festivals and retreats. That's love matter in everyday life. And this is the stuff you should be making a priority in your life. Okay? Work, commuting, running hard, just doing lots of things, they don't matter because they're not love matter. Well, we talk a lot about love, and I mentioned the definition of love in the meditation. Here it is. It's the light of your soul. If you cannot see, feel, or experience the light of your soul, you have the void of love in you. And that's not a judgment, it's just the way it is. And the blessing in your being in that space is that when you return to love, it'll be really powerful and you know what it really is. Because you only know and appreciate something when you experience the opposite of it. You can't know light until you know darkness. You can't know love until you know the opposite of it. So love is the light of your soul, bringing oneness to all that is. So part of our journey in this life is to move from separation to oneness. And that's the experience and journey of growing in love. And then there's the vitality of your being. Now, vitality of your being is your health, your relationships with self and others, and your resonance, your vibration. That's what vitality is about. And the vitality of your being is evolving back to love. Time does not exist outside our minds. The reality of life is that the universe evolves through movement. That is how nature works. And nature does not have any straight lines or right angles. So as long as you are in your head, which is programmed to function in a linear construct, you are out of evolution. You are stuck in your illusion. And so one of the things I do is mind mapping. I learned this process in 2002, trained under Tony Bizan. And I do that a lot. So here's the mind map of love. And I will email you a copy of this mind map as well with the PDF. Now, as you see, love, and when you unpack light, it's all about life experience, expression, evolution. Light projects, and it's about the what, how, and who it projects. Light illuminates the way, the heart, and the land. That's what light is about. Oneness involves no separation in union with all dimensions. So we talk glibly, oh, let's become one. Oneness is really good. The issue with talk is that it's just knowledge from the mind. There's a huge gap between knowledge and knowing. Huge. And so oneness, You cannot know oneness unless there's no separation and there's union with all dimensions at mind, soul, spirit level. Vitality, as I mentioned, is health, your residence, your relationships. And it's also about the enrichment of those relationships. Evolving is about the classroom of life, your soul lessons for your transcendence. And your transcendence is about you shifting from one level, one state to the other. The world we live in and how the masses live is that one day to another is basically this: same shit, different day. At the end of the year, people celebrate Christmas. They go through the ritual of giving presents. Then you see fireworks, New Year's Eve. You go to sleep. The next day you make New Year's resolutions. And within a few days to a few weeks, the resolutions have gone out the window because you're back to the grind. Same shit, different day. Another year passes, you've grown a year older, but your life hasn't grown in evolution. So over 5 years, if you look back, and if you can't see changes in your life, you have not experienced significant personal growth. Now, is that a bad thing? No, it's not. Is that a good thing? It may be, it may not be. Because whatever you do, whatever happens, is part of your soul journey. So whatever's going on in your life, it's important you don't beat yourself up and compare yourself with other people and go, they're good, I'm bad. The important thing is to recognize and acknowledge where you're at, and then make a choice. What do I want to do with my life moving forward? Do I know what's really going on in the world? Do I want to live in a fishbowl? Do I want to experience the fullness of life and what it has and the potential you can be? So the future is all about light. Light is extremely important. So this is what light is. Light, L, is love, bringing I, insight to you, expressed in G, the gratitude of everything, in H, the holographic perspective on your soul's T, transcendental journey back to source. I have over 200 of these acronyms broken down with these spiritual definitions. And when you look at these words with these definitions, they're precise and exact. And so here, you notice that G is right in the middle. Gratitude is the attitude to greatness. Let me say it again. Gratitude is the attitude to greatness. And gratitude brings you from the polarity of lack of love back to love. And when you express gratitude, you can only do that when you have love and insight. And then that gives you a holographic perspective. And the holographic perspective is what I'm going to talk a lot about. Then there's your transcendental journey back to source. So the three, the Trinity, love, light, life, is critical and important. Let's look at life. What is life? The common conclusion that a lot of people come to, particularly the young people, is that life sucks. It's not getting better, it's not getting any easier. You see destruction on the planet. You see the authorities trying to poison people with food, with radiation, with electromagnetic waves. Then there's technology marching forward into areas that potentially could be not good. So what is life about? Well, here's a different definition. Life is L, love. I, infusing. F, fullness. In E, evolution. So again, there's love and evolution at the beginning and the end. In the middle of that, it is infusing. Infusing is like marinating, like you putting spices over meat and letting it soak in. And fullness is about your cup over all the different areas of your life, full to overflowing. That's what fullness is about. And we are here to enjoy life to the full. And so people that put guilt on you, that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, are denying your fullness. Because who's to judge what you do and what you like, etc. One of the problems is that people have so much baggage and judgment around money. Oh, you shouldn't spend this on yourself. Look at what else you can do with the money, etc., etc., etc. That comes from a judgmental and lack mentality. So life is about sucking the marrow out of it, enjoying every moment, every day, learning from it, evolving, growing. When you do that, you will have the most amazing time. Sian and I have had the most amazing journey every single year. Every year has shifted, become bigger, right across the board, in so many areas and ways. We did 5 overseas trips last year. The year before we did 6. In 5 years we've been together, we've done 20. We visit new countries every year. We go about doing our light work. And we don't go on holiday. Our life is one big holiday. And I blend everything in life. I don't separate things in my life. One of the things about modern living is that everyone lives in boxes. You've got a box for your work, a box for your home, a box for your hobbies, a box for your relationships, a box for your holiday. And these are separate things in your life. For both of us, everything blends into one. When we travel, it's everything. It's holiday, it's spiritual work, it's abundance, it's meeting people, it's everything. And when you do that, it's extraordinary what happens. Because you then open yourself up to far greater opportunities that turn up. And the synchronicities that happen in our life are not once in a blue moon. They happen all the time. So, let me talk to you about a concept we don't think about. And that's the word cosmic. And what I'm about is the cosmic dance of life. So here's what cosmic's about. It is consciousness in oneness. CO. S is for synchronistically, M is for morphing, I is the I am in creation. That's what cosmic's about. I can almost guarantee you've never seen that definition of cosmic before. And when you think about it, it's profound and powerful. So what is cosmic about? It's all about consciousness. Consciousness is everything. It's in the context of oneness. And it's expressing the form, function, and experience of Creator Source in creation. That's what cosmic is about. And the cosmic dance of love is about how you can have a cosmic life. Let's look at dance. We don't actually look at life as a dance. So what's your dance platform? What's your current dance? What's your life like? What kind of dance are you doing? Whose dance platform are you on? Yours or somebody else's? For most people, it's not yours. It's something created for you. A small little place where you're supposed to boogie. What is the drum beat of your life? Is it a monotonous one, or is it a symphony? Who are you dancing with? Is it an increasing number of people in your life? Or is it the same people? Nothing wrong with that. You dance with the same people, you end up having the same dance. So, is your dance the same, or moving to new styles? And this is what happens when you can have the expansion of life. Next, lastly, are you evolving to different dance platforms? Sian and I are experiencing this. And it's more than magical in terms of the things that we're doing. Business, spiritual work, places we visit, etc. Let me take you through a really important perspective now. Nothing is as it seems. Now, those of you that are similar vintage to myself will remember a TV show called Hogan's Heroes. Yes? Hogan's Heroes? Now, Hogan's Heroes had this lovable character, a German sergeant called Schultz. You remember Schultz, yes? And you remember when they tried to pin him down into various situations, when Hogan tried to pin him down, Schultz had one simple mantra. Remember the mantra he had? I know nothing, I know nothing, I know nothing. That was his mantra. And there's a lot of wisdom in that. And so here, what I'm saying is nothing is as it seems. Whatever you see, whatever you perceive, is not what it really is. And when you look through the lens of your world with this perspective, you are going to see what is behind the veil, what is behind the curtain, what is behind what is happening. So when someone comes and has an interaction with you, and you go, nothing is as it seems, and ask the critical question, what else is there? What else is going on? And so this is a very powerful strategy to have. Why is it that nothing is as it seems? We live in a matrix that controls and programs us. In this matrix, the love of money, which comes from the spiritual entity of the god of Mammon, drives everything. Money will corrupt even the highest of saints. It's that powerful. An example of nothing is as it seems, the sun is not what we are told it is. I grew up in science being told that the sun is the center of our solar system. It is this huge, huge mass of thermonuclear fusion explosions which is producing light. And the mass from its size is the gravitational energy that keeps all the planets rotating around it. We now have information that that is completely false. We also see on the internet that astronauts are now coming out and saying that out in space they cannot see the sun. So the sun is not what we're told it is. I have a channeling from the great central sun of the universe that gives some insight into what it really is. The moon is not what we are told it is. It is an artificial satellite. There's a whole lot of stuff going on in the moon that we're not aware of. The moon does not rotate. That's not the behavior of a natural body around a planet. History has been completely manipulated. So what we learn in history is not what actually happened. The media feed the illusion of lies and manipulation. Look at the US elections. So nothing is as it seems. I'd encourage you to stop and always ask the question, what is going on beyond the obvious? Now let's look at unseen. What is unseen? This is where the treasure is. This is where the magic is. This is where stuff really is going on. Unseen, you, the universe, and naturally as synchronizing E-energies in evolution now. That is what is really unseen. And so, behind the scenes is what's going on. It's like you watch a movie. And that's not what really happened. It's behind the scenes on the set where you really see how the actors, how the props and everything come together. And so, unseen, for you to look at that, is number one, tuning into the energies of what is there. Number two, connecting with the synchronicities of the energies. Number three, being one with nature and the universe. Number four, being aware of the movement of evolution. Number five, bringing all this back to the moment now. If you live in a 3D world, you look at those 5 points and go, I can't do that. I don't know what that's all about. And that is true. So for you to be able to see the unseen, tune into that, you will need to transcend your 3D world. And to transcend your 3D world is very simple. Exercise the 5 elements: air, earth, water, sun, spirit. In the 5S, stillness, silence, solitude, sacred space. I did that this morning. And I tune into what's really going on today, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and the conversations I'm going to have with all the good people over the next 3 days are part of what was dialed into me this morning from the light codes of the sun. Now, do you remember during the meditation, I did a little channeling in light language for all of you. Would you like the interpretation of that? Here it is. Beloved, know that you are a part of the I Am. You live in a world separate from me. But my presence, spirit and energy is moving to bring you back to the journey of a return to love. To do that, you have to release yourself from the attachments of this world. For the future is the pathway of growing in light and love for the evolution of your soul. That was the message. And the reason why it was not in English is because it was not for your mind. It is for your entire being, which is all the cells of your body and your DNA. Now, let's look at life today as a game. And I'd like now to talk to you about the biggest game on the planet. The biggest game on the planet is all about the big shift. This is talked about in the Bible, the book of Revelation, Dolores Cannon, Edgar Casey, the Mayans. The list goes on and on and on in terms of sacred scriptures that point and talk about the same thing. You go talk to the Maori elders, the Hawaiian elders, you know, the islanders. They all say the same thing. There is a big shift, there's a big change coming. There's a separation. There's going to be two worlds, the old world and the new world. And this planet, Mother Gaia, is going to shift and move from the third to the fifth dimension. And you have to choose where you wish to be. The new earth or the old earth. Default is ending up in the old earth. So if you do nothing, continue your life in the fishbowl, you will end up in the old world. Now, is that a bad thing? At the end of everything, the answer is no. Because at the end of everything, everything returns to source. The only thing is that if you go to the old earth, it won't be pleasant. And you're going to experience things that you will not prefer to. So the biggest game on the planet requires your participation. We are called to play a part in this big shift. This big shift has 3 major components in it, and I call it cosmic convergence. The 3 big components are: number 1, pole shift. We are at the time of pole shift, the precession of equinox. This critical point at 26,000 years, where the earth poles flip. The second thing, with cosmic convergence and the big shift, it requires a light activation from the collective consciousness of all the light workers on the planet, not the masses. Those people that tell you the masses are going to wake up are lying to you. The masses will not wake up. So it's important for you not to waste your time and energy trying to save those who are asleep. You need to bless them on your journey. Let them go. Recently, I've had downloaded to me the technology whereby thousands, millions of light workers on the planet can be connected together in light, in a sacred light journey to go activate the shift that's coming. And it's part of the medium-term plan. Now, all the things I'm saying about the shift and downloads and everything else, my skeptic friends say to me this: Richard, what you say sounds really good, but what if it's all bullshit? That's what skeptics will say to you. You know my response to my skeptic friend was? Well, mate, if it's all true, it'd be the most amazing life one could possibly have. If it was bullshit, it's the best ride I could possibly have, so why wouldn't I do it? But now I have something that proves what I'm talking about. Now, all of you have heard of crop circles? Yes? And can I have a raise of a hand if you've ever heard or read of a crop circle turning up specifically for a group of people in terms of what they're doing? Okay. Here's what turned up for me. This crop circle turned up in August when we were in the UK. We're doing a sacred light journey, firing up the most amazing light grid ever. And the Arcturians produced this just for us. This crop circle is one of the most complex and amazing in terms of design and geometry. It spans over 2 acres and 300 foot across. We spent 3 hours in there, soaking up the energy. And that night, after going there, which was an hour and a half drive from where we were staying, we fired up a new celestial light grid. I'll be talking much more about that in my next talk during Close Encounters, because that ties in with the ETs and what they're doing, etc. And so if someone wants proof about what I'm talking about, what I'm doing, here it is. And it's not my imagination either, because I have 12 other people that had a shared group experience with me that will testify to all this. And then the proof of the pudding is in the results. After this happened, the shift on this planet was profound. In the last quarter of 2016. And they spoke to us in December and said, look at all the stuff that's happening in the world. What you did as a group in UK firing up this new light grid with this crop circle has contributed to the energy of facilitating all the changes on the planet. This is only the beginning. So let me talk to you about something that's the most important thing in your life. Your consciousness. And the dictionary definition of consciousness is being aware and perceiving something. And so here's the cosmic definition of consciousness. So I call my acronyms a cosmic definition. CO, Christ oneness, now, CON. In soul conscience, SC. Integrating one, IO, in unity with source. And NESS is naturally evolving with your senses in serendipity. So there's enormous amount there, which I don't have time to unpack. But everything about human life on this planet is about consciousness, and in particular your level of consciousness. And your level of consciousness is what's going to determine whether you go to the new earth or the old. And at the moment, what's been given to us is that the level by which you'll go to the new earth is if you reach the level of 500 on the David Hawkins scale of consciousness, which is the level of unconditional love. So I have tools to help people track and calibrate where they're at. Your consciousness level determines whether you are awake or asleep or you are waking up. Now, here are 7 levels of consciousness according to the Hawkins chart, which I'll put up next. The bottom level is red, according to chakras, base chakra. It's on guilt and shame. Next level up, orange, is apathy and grief. Then there's yellow, which is fear and desire. Green, which is pride and anger. So the bottom 4 levels are people that are unconscious. The top 3 are for people who are conscious. So blue is courage, neutrality, and acceptance. Indigo is reason, love, and joy. And the highest one is peace and enlightenment. And this is David Hawkins' chart from his book, Power versus Force. And you can see the different levels, and they're a log scale with emotion like you. Now, consciousness is everything. Your level of consciousness determines your results. So how do you know something's happening in your life? Look at the results in your life. How do you know you're improving? Look at the results in your life. How do you know you're evolving? Look at the results in your life. Jesus said, how do you know the fruit of a tree? By partaking of it. Your consciousness does not rise automatically. It is something that you have to actively participate in. You are likely to be completely unaware where you are at your level of consciousness because you have no frames of reference. So how do you know the fruit of a tree? By partaking of it. And raising your consciousness is a deliberate process. Now let me talk to you about the nemesis of consciousness, your ego. Your ego is actually good because it shows you what you don't want. And your ego is the challenge to your moving in spirituality. What's a good definition of ego? Here's this one. Expressing a gap in oneness. So as long as you are in separation, you're an ego. Wayne Dyer says ego is edging God out. That's true too. And so when you have ego, it's all about your attachments, which leads to expectations and produces judgments in your behavior. So looking at those 3 is critical. So when I work with people, I dial into their attachments. And we have a whole process of working on them and releasing them. And it's not just simply making a decision, much more than that. Here's how things work in the physical world. Input plus processing equals output. Definition of insanity by Benjamin Franklin. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Albert Einstein. You cannot change a problem. You cannot fix it from the dimension in which it was created. So if you want to change your life, you've got to change how you're doing life. Change the input and processing. You get a different output. So your perceptions feed your perspective. Your perspective creates your beliefs. Your beliefs are expressed in your values. Your values determine your behavior. Your behavior determines the results in your life. So if you don't like something in your life, work backwards from this chart and you'll get to where it is. Now we talk a lot about raising vibration. There's a lot of talk about that today. And there's a lot of talk in the internet that the energy is coming in and raising your vibration. But how do you measure your vibration being raised? How do you know? You can feel good about it, but how do you know? Again, look at the results in your life. Your abundance, your relationships, your life dramas, the amount of freedom in your life, and when you review your annual progress, you get a handle on that. If you meditate in your journal and you review your journals, you can see what's going on. The other way you can find out your conscious level is to do a dowsing exercise. But in dowsing, you've got to be sure that your dowsing is clear and precise. A lot of people douse in a fuzzy state and don't get an accurate result. So raising a vibration is essential, and this is what requires. Now there's basic spiritual principles that you go back to in raising your vibration. Go breathe in good air. Go and do sun gazing. Dawn and dusk. Move, exercise the body, eat good food, drink good water, and protect yourself against the negative energies going around with all the EMFs and microwaves, etc. And then your thoughts, what's going on in your head? When someone pushes your button, what happens? Do you flare up and react? And if someone does something that pushes a big button, how long does it last? 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month? Some people hold grudges for lifetimes. And that's not healthy. People that hold grudges for lifetimes invariably end up with cancer because of the bitterness stored inside the body. What can we do to raise your vibration, activate DNA that's different? Well, here's what CNI are about. Light alchemy, A-L-K-E-M-I. And again, it's a play on words, but alchemy is very specific in terms of what it means. This technology comes from the stars, mainly the Arcturians. It happens in group light journeys at a sacred site, and we do quantum DNA activation using light codes. If you read Cryon, and he's written a book called The 12 Layers of DNA, and this is Lee Carroll channeling Cryon. When you read that book, you come to realize that each strand of DNA has 12 quantum or energetic strands. So there are actually 144 energetic strands in DNA, and so activating them is important. But how do you do it? Here's the formula with light alchemy. And this is the thing I'm working on for the future. Activating DNA, if you're doing just sound, the problem with sound is that the environment that you're doing will mitigate against the impact of sound. And you can't just do sound, you need sound and light. The two go hand in hand together. The other thing about DNA is that activating DNA requires light codes, because that's how DNA was formed. And here is a drawing that I use in activating DNA with light codes. This was drawn by a person called George Allen, and his website is enigmaticdrawings.com, which I will email to people to look at. And this drawing contains light codes for activating DNA. It's incredibly in-depth. There are 22,000 little glyphs, which are separate light code hand-drawn drawings in black all over this drawing. It's profound in terms of what it does, what it can do. You cannot understand it with your conscious mind. Next thing I'd like to tell you about is sacred light journeys. A sacred light journey is where we go to a sacred site that has high energy. For example, Mount Shasta, Lake Titicaca, which we're going to visit next year. We've been to Lake Taupo, Glastonbury Tor. We visited Tibet in October, November. And we're going to go back to Mount Kailash, which is the crown chakra of the planet. And what needs to happen is a powerful activation there. So Sacred Light Journey is conducted at a sacred site with high energy. It is attended by people who are called and selected. So it's not just for anybody that wants to come along for the ride. The group go on a spiritual journey of usually 5 days of raising the vibration and consciousness. And I'm shifting that to 7 days because I found the 5-day Sacred Light Journey itself is great, but to have a day of meditation beforehand and have a day after of integration is really powerful. And so light grids are activated and fired out during a period in time. And this is something that's come from source and guidance. And the testimony of that is that when I run a Sacred Light Journey and fire up a grid, I have no clue how to do it until just before the event. When we fired up the light grid over New Zealand, over 7 sacred sites, 5 on the North Island and 2 in the South Island, I talked about firing this whole grid for a whole 12 months without having a clue how to do it. 2 days beforehand, everything just dropped in. Going to Glastonbury, when we would fire up the Sacred Light Journey, firing up the light grid, the celestial light grid, after going to the crop circle, I didn't realize that we were going to fire up this light grid connecting 3 sacred sites on this planet, which is Lake Taupo, Glastonbury Atoll, Mount Shasta, with 3 celestial bodies. So we've now got an amazing grid connecting 3 sacred sites on the planet to the central sun, Arcturus, and Pleiades. And the other thing we did was to go and energetically connect the Glastonbury Atoll, which is the heart chakra of the planet, to Pleiades. And the Pleiadians are here to help us return to our hearts. Very profound stuff. Okay, let me talk to you about the one thing that makes this world go round. Money. Money makes the world go round. We live in an economic system. And let me talk to you about the money dance. There's 3 levels of this. One is the rat race. The rat race is when you're pedaling hard, you're in a job, you're earning just enough to keep your head above water. There's 3 levels within the rat race. And within the rat race, you don't have much freedom or time. There's a limit to what you can do. Within the rat race, some people earn a lot of money, but they have no time. So the people that are in executive positions that earn 6-figure incomes, they don't have a life. It's 24/7 working in their job. So the rat race is when you're pedaling hard, going nowhere. And your life force is progressively being sucked out of you. Then number 2 is a fast track. This is where people know and understand the rules of the game. This is people who make lots of money, who have power, who can fly around the world, etc. The problem with the fast track is that you still are limited by the boundaries of this world, the energies of this world, and when you come against an obstacle, you have to go around it. And so the people with power and plenty of money are still ruled by the forces that run the matrix. Then you can transcend all that to what I call flowing abundance. Flowing abundance is when you work according to the Spirit. And this is where the resources of heaven just turn up in your life. And you don't actually have to do anything except mind your own business as a 100% instrument of the divine. Then everything turns up. And Sienna and I can tell you stories of that all the time happening. Now let's look at a profound question. And the profound question is this: why is there so much lack? So when you break lack down, it is love allowing confusion in your knowledge. L-A-C-K. If you didn't have confusion in your knowledge, you wouldn't be in lack. What is causing lack? This is due to the programming of the matrix, which feed into your 3 limiting big beliefs. And these are 3 limiting beliefs that affect just about everybody. I'm no good. I'm unworthy. I'm a failure. That imprinting happens usually in your family of origin, and it is rooted in past lives. And they're also interdimensional interference. So these become your unconscious anchors. And again, it's not about blame. Your parents did the best they knew how. But they messed you up because they were messed up by their parents. And it goes up the line in terms of generations. And the reason why light workers are in lack is so that they are rendered ineffective. Because there is a battle going on between the forces of light and dark. So here's the difference. Here's the other side. Spiritual abundance. Spiritual abundance is living and experiencing the fullness of abundance from Source in 100% divine will. Let me give you a metaphor of what I'm talking about in this money dance. If you imagine that somebody in a job just has a little cup. Depending on how much you earn, you have a little one or a big one. If you sweep the street, you have a very small one. If you're a brain surgeon, you've got a big bucket. But you only get to fill it up once a month, because that's when you get paid, or once a week. And then, in between, that's all you've got to use. You spill some, too bad. So this is the rat race in the money game, the money dance. Then the next level, in the fast track where people have business, they have a business, they can go to the water source several times, not limited to once a month. And if they have a really viable business, they get to plug a hose into the water source. But they still have to actively go and get the water. And you have to actively do it. Now, in flowing abundance, you don't do any of that. What you do is you open the door and there's a waterfall. And most people haven't got a clue what that's like to experience. Sen and I have experienced that. And because we are dedicating our lives to our light work and focusing on what we're meant to be doing, within 12 months, our abundance is going to be propelled into the ultra high net worth category within 12 months. And this is beyond winning lotto. And it's because that money is going to turn up for all the work that we're going to be doing. Come and talk to us. We'll share a story with you. So, looking at spiritual abundance, it is living and experiencing the fullness of abundance from Source in 100% divine will. Now, this is the catch, 100% divine will. If someone asked you, are you living your life in 100% divine will? Most of the spiritual people say, yes, of course. Then when the questions go a little deeper, now, which part of your life are you in control of? Where are you making decisions? And how do you know what your highest purpose is? Then the answers become thin when you go down that level. So this is one of the things I do to help people move from where they are into spiritual abundance. It requires you becoming the fullness of you as a divine eternal being. So that's the spiritual path to go on. Then it requires total surrender to Source in mind, soul, spirit. That requires your spiritual disciplines. It also requires you to be a full channeling service to others. So your life is not about survival, it's not about your nest egg, it's not about your retirement. It's about what are you doing to help people on the planet. And requires you to let go of all attachments, expectations, and judgment. So as long as you've got that, then you have the issue of being blocked. The last one is to be transcending continually the 3D world to allow miracles to flow. So this is about spiritual abundance. So my formula for spiritual abundance is very simple. Take the 5 elements, 5S, 5 elements, air, earth, water, sun, spirit. 5S, stillness, silence, solitude, sacred, space. Bring the two together like this, in your heart, and then express it into the world and turn your passion into profit. So how do you turn passion into profit? You first identify your core passions. Takes me 15 minutes down into yours. Then you find the acorn, the seed of a great idea. When you find the seed of a great idea, then you grow that tree. Do it right, and you've got an acorn, you end up with an oak tree. So then you establish a time bank and you work on growing the acorn. Along the way, you do the work to transform yourself and create an alternative income stream with the trends of tomorrow. And this requires you changing your habits and your lifestyle. What's my acorn? My light technology. And we have our lamp here, which I invite all of you to come and try. We have an inexpensive conference special. $20 for 10 minutes. And I'm building this technology for the masses. This lamp at the moment is not affordable by the average person, but the new one I'm building will be. But it'll take 3 to 5 years down the track because it's going to require a lot of laboratory testing to validate it. This is for the 3D world. And when it's the price of a big screen TV, I know that I can go to New York, spend 6 months there and sell 1 million of them. And then once you can make $200 profit per unit, do the maths. It's pretty awesome. And that's within reach, it's doable. The other thing about the future is that we have technology doing this. And when technology is doing this, the opportunities are huge, absolutely huge. I'm currently spiritually mentoring billionaires, not millionaires. The first one's going to hit his in 12 months. The second one's going to do his between 3 to 5 years. The third one will take between 5 to 8 years. My path will get me there within 5 years. But it's not all about money. It's about making a difference in the world. So people say, what are you going to do with all that?